we've had the machlokas in the Mishnah about when a person leaves or in miklat, the Rotzeach leaves or in miklat, does the Gol Hadam have a right to kill him, mitzvah to kill him? That's what we've been discussing in the Gemara. That's the Mishnah. The Gemara discusses it. We had a third opinion that even if he leaves, the Gol Hadam has no right to kill him, and not only has no right to kill him, if the Gol Hadam would be warned and he would kill him, we would kill the Gol Hadam. That's how far we had a third opinion. That the Gol Hadam, the relative that's avenging the blood, has no right to avenge the blood, even when the guy leaves the city of refuge. The only allowance of avenging the blood is only that if the court renders a decision that he's obligated death, then he's the one, let's say, that maybe would kill the guy. But not that if the guy leaves, he has the right to be killed. Good morning, Jaime.
Good morning.
Okay, we are on Yud Beis Amud Aleph. We are on 12a. In the art scroll is 12a5 on the left column. Tana Rabbanan, 12a5, the second or third paragraph. Starts with Tana Rabbanan. By the way, I checked up what I quoted yesterday. Jaime was correct that the court, in order to obligate a guy, the court only could obligate a guy capital punishment if there is a majority of a minimum of 2. A one-man majority will not obligate anybody. A one-man majority will be enough to make the guy innocent, that the guy could win. 12 to 11, you could win, but you cannot make a guy guilty of capital punishment by a 12 to 11 verdict.
Was it always the 23 judge panel for capital punishment?
They had 71 by the Beit HaMikdash, that the great Sanhedrin was 71. And I think the 23, is a minimum of 23. I don't know that it has to be specifically 23, but it's a minimum
of 23.
23 judges.
Right, with a 2-person majority to convict for capital punishment.
Exactly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the Gemara says, Tana Rabbana, Im yotza haratzeach. The pasuk says, if the Rotzeach leaves the city of refuge, and the pasuk says that if he leaves the city of refuge, this is a pasuk. Let's see, they quote the pasuk here. Im yotza haratzeach asher yona shama, and then the Gol Hadam kills him. So now the Gemara. So the Gemara says Yotza Ratzeach, and the Gemara's understanding is that the Ratzeach left, and the pasuk is saying that the Gol Hadam, the relative, has a right to kill him. Ein li ela b'mezid. This allowance for the Gol Hadam to kill one who was sitting in exile, if he left the exile, the guy left the exile, is ainly ela b'mezid. That's only if he left intentionally. Meaning to say, the guy in exile knew what his boundaries were, where he was allowed to be, but he willingly left. He knew he couldn't leave, and he left. But what about if the guy left unintentionally? Somehow we're able to figure out, we don't know for sure it was intentional.
He wandered off.
Exactly. But how do you know? How do we know that if he left unintentionally, he wandered off? How do we know that the Gol Hadam, the relative, has a right to avenge his blood? Also in such a case. Now, the general rule is, Ein bo ela chidusho. The whole thing is a big chidush. The whole thing is a novel idea that if the guy leaves the Ori Miklat, that the Gol Hadam has the right to kill him. That's a chidush that the Torah tells us, because you would have said that the guy committed the murder unintentionally to begin with. So this whole idea that the Torah gives an allowance for the Goel Adam, for the relative to kill, to avenge the blood of their relative, is a great chidush. When did the Torah give allowance? If the guy leaves the city of refuge. So we would say, the Gemara says, so therefore we should limit the chidush. We should say that the novel idea is only in a case when the guy intentionally was violating his terms of his terms. But if the guy involuntarily left or not knowing he wandered off, how do you know in such a case that he would be allowed, that the Goel Adam has the green light? By the way, we're going to see that's not true. This is one opinion, but we're going to see another opinion that's going to disagree with this. How do we know the shogeg minayin? How do we know that even if he wandered unintentionally, that the relative has a right to kill him? So the Gemara says, because Talmud Loma im yotzo yetze. There's a double language. The Torah uses two words to describe the leaving of the city of refuge. But there's no extra word in the Torah. Since there's no extra word in the Torah, why does the Torah write, if he left, he left? Double language.
Where is that language from? From the parasha, from Shoftim?
Yeah, this is the parasha where it deals with, after we have to get out the pasuk, the pasuk, you have a chumash. This is a pasuk in Bamidbar. This is by Matot. By Matot Maseh. It says over there, because the parasha, by the way, you're right, it mentions in the Shoftim, it's in many different places, in a few different places in the Torah. Good morning, Ariel, where the Torah discusses the story of Ori Miklat. And here it's in Bamidbar, Perek Lamed Hey, Pasuk Chav Zayin. Parasha. Right, this week's parasha. Very good, yes. So
What does it say? What does it say in this week's parasha that he quoted?
He quoted that the Torah talks about that you need 2 or 3 witnesses to kill somebody.
Yes.
Like we learned earlier in the Masechta. Why does the Torah say 3 witnesses? If you already tell me 2 is good enough, why mention 3? And that those psukim are mentioned in this week's parasha about you need 2 or 3. You need a minimum of 2 witnesses. And also in this week's parasha, like Jaime said, this is the parasha talks about of Ori Miklat, a guy killing somebody unintentionally and running to the Ori Miklat. That's this week's parasha. It's invalid and knocks out the whole group, right? So this week's parsha talks about zomimim, Eid zomimim. Framers are in this week's parsha. Asitim lo kasher zamam. You do to them what he wanted to do to others, which we've been learning about this Masechta. So, oh, very good, very good. No, I'm good. Thank you. You're my coffee. Remember, when you come to the class, that peps me up. How do you like that? So I said Makkos, it's a Maseh. The Maseh, it says over there, V'miyotzo Yetzei HaRotzeach. If the Rotzeach leaves and the Goel Adam finds him, he has a right. That's the case. The Torah gives the right to the Goel Hadam to kill him. But the Torah uses the double word Yotzo Yetzei. So why does the Torah use that extra word Yotzo Yetzei? So this Mandiyama says if the pasuk would say one word Yotzo that he left, that would indicate he left intentionally. But how do we know that if he left unintentionally? Comes a second Yotzo, Mikol Makom. That it means under all circumstances, whether he left intentionally or unintentionally, L'Goel Adam, the relative, has a right to kill him. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? Vatanya, we learned in a Braita, and this seems to be the halacha following that we're going to say now, that the right for the Gol Adam to kill him is only if he left intentionally, b'meizid. Not if he left unintentionally. By the time you learned in a Braita, b'meizid, if the murderer left the city of refuge intentionally, neharat, then he is subject to be killed by the Gol Hadam. But b'shogeg, but if he left b'shogeg unintentionally, then golet, he just has to go back. He's supposed to go back into golut. He's back in the first judgment that he goes to golut. And really, the rotzeach is not supposed to kill him before he goes, when he's supposed to go to golut. The Gol Adam is not supposed to kill the rotzeach. He's supposed to go to golut. The only allowance we allow the Gol Adam to kill the rotzeach is only when he leaves the city of Miklat intentionally. But so that's what this Braita says. The Braita says that if he left intentionally, then he has a right to be killed. If he left unintentionally, he doesn't have a right to be killed. So we have a contradiction, the Gemara says. We just said before, a Braita that says that we have from the extra word, Yotzo Yotzei, that whether he left intentionally or unintentionally, he's subject to be killed by the Gol Adam. The next Braita says that if he wandered off, he's not so, the Gol Adam not allowed to kill him. So we have a contradiction. So the Gemara says that, you know what? It's two different opinions. You know, the Gemara says, what is it dependent on? Now, by the way, the Gemara does not like to say something is two different opinions if we could, unless we have compelled to say that. But we rather say that both are in agreement and maybe there's some, we explain it in a certain way. That's why many times you find the Gemara will say, that will ask the question, one thing from another. For since there's a distinction, there are two different cases, as Mr. Haber would say, different case, different loss, different reason, might be different, but not always are they different that you could show that there's a difference. But here they're clearly saying that they're talking about the same case, leaving unintentionally. We have two different opinions of whether he's obligated to be killed, or the Gol Adam has a right to kill him, or the Gol Adam doesn't have a right to kill the guy if he left unintentionally. We have two different opinions. So the Gemara says it's two different rabbis. Lo kasha. There's like the opinion that says does the Torah talk the way people talk? Sometimes, or do we say the Torah does not talk the language, the way people talk? So there's an opinion that says that if it's the common way that people talk in such a way, people use a double word. They would when they would be talking, they would talk in such a fashion. So even though you could go ahead and learn out the concept, even though you're coming to tell me one thing, you're not coming to tell me a chidush. You're not coming to tell me something new. Meaning to say, the Torah says Yotzo Yetzeh. Now, people talk that way. If he went out, he went out. That's the way people might talk. Im Yotzo Yetzeh, that might be a normal way people talk. They repeat certain words in describing a certain situation. But the fact that people talk that way, do we say that the Torah would also talk that way? Or do we say no? The Torah wouldn't talk that way, and therefore, if the Torah does talk that way, it's coming to tell us something new. That means it's not just saying an expression using a double language. It's interesting, you should know, let's say in Tanakh, like the Malbim, or even in the Torah, every time the Torah describes something with a synonym, if it's not the same word, it's coming to teach us something. It's not exact. But here the question is, it's the same word being repeated twice in a row, but that's the way people talk. So do we say that the Torah is talking that way here or not? Now, one of the commentaries Tosfos brings down that we're going to find, the Gemara is going to bring, Abaye is going to say that it is logical that the Torah talks the way people talk. And therefore, it's not coming to tell us an extra idea. If the Torah is talking not the way people talk, so then it's telling us, it's repeating itself. Why does Torah repeat itself twice? It tells a new halacha, even unintentionally, even if you want it off. But if you say the Torah is talking the way people talk, so then the Torah is not telling us anything extra. It's telling us one idea if the guy left. But that, you would not know that the guy left unintentionally, because the fact that Torah says a double word is not coming to tell us two different things. That's the way people talk. And maybe you could say, and the Torah, maybe you could say a reason for the idea why the Torah would talk the way people talk, because the Torah is given for people. That's what the Torah is for. So the Torah talks a language to people, the way people talk, to people relate to it. Just like sometimes there's certain things that it says in the Torah that, just in order that people should be able to relate to it. We have that concept in the Torah. So that's and Abaye is going to say, that's what the Gemara says. Commandi Amma lo amina Commandi Amma dibra Torah b'lashon adam. The Torah talks in the way people talk, and Hadi Amma lo amina dibra Torah b'lashon adam. The Torah doesn't talk the way people talk. The Torah doesn't repeat itself the same way people repeat themselves in the way they talk.
So in Yasoi, it said that's how people talk.
That's how people. Let's say that's how people talk.
It's not something extra.
It's nothing extra. It's just because the guy left. The guy left. But if you say the Torah doesn't talk the way people talk, so the Torah is saying the guy left and he left, what is the Torah talking that way? What Torah say twice? It's saying something extra. The Torah doesn't need to say something extra. So now Abaye is going to say, Oma Abaye, Mistavra, Command Oma Dibra Torah Kolosh B'nei Adam. Abaye says the logic goes like the opinion that says the Torah talks like the way a person talks. And therefore, you cannot learn out that the Torah is saying something, an extra idea to us by repeating the word. And I saw that they bring from Tosfot in Menachot, the Tosfot says the following. Abaye is not saying in general, he's not coming to say in general, every time the Torah talks, the Torah is talking the way people talk. Because the Torah, many times, the Torah doesn't have to talk always the way the people talk. Because the Torah is not here to always say extra things. Because there's no such thing as an extra letter. Even like Rabbi Akiva was doresh the crowns on top of the letter. Come and teach us something. But Abaye is saying that there's something compelling us in this situation to tell us that here the Torah is talking the way people talk. In general, the Torah might not say the way people talk. The Torah would be more concise in its wording. Yeah, but Ariel is right that when there's an extra word, we always darish an extra word. But that's if the word is not in a situation, in an expression of the way that people talk. If there's an extra word, and let's say the Torah says "V'yotze chinam," he goes out free, ain't kasef. There's no payment. The Torah repeated itself. He goes out free, ain't kasef. There's no payment. That's not the way people talk. People just say you go out free, you don't have to pay. You have to say you don't pay and you don't have to give money. That's not the way people talk. So when the Torah says an extra word, and it's not the normal way that people talk, that's not in the jargon and the way people talk, that for sure you darish it. Come and tell us something. Torah means teaching. It's always telling us something, teaching us something. But if it's coming in a way that people talk, so now you have to ask yourself, is the Torah coming just to talk the way people talk? Or is the Torah coming to teach us something extra? So Abaye is saying, in this situation, we have a logical reason to tell us that the Torah is talking the way people talk. In this situation, it could be in other situations. Abaye would say no, that the Torah is not coming to tell us the way people talk, unless you have a compelling reason to say that the Torah is coming to tell us the way people talk. Maybe the Torah might not talk that way necessarily, but here there is a reason to say what the compelling reason. What's the compelling reason? Abaye mistavra. It is logical. Command the Dibra Torah Kolosh B'nei Adam. Why? Shelo yehi sofo chamur mitchilato. The end of the guy's situation in jail, so to speak, I don't call it jail, in the Ori Miklat, in the city of refuge, should not be more strict than the original sentencing that he had in the beginning. When he killed the person, what's the judgment on him? The judgment is if you kill somebody, the judgment is if someone kills intentionally, he's subject to the Mezid, he's supposed to get killed. Person kills someone intentionally. Unintentionally, what's the law? Goes to Galut. So now, when the guy leaves the city of refuge, it should not be a stronger sentencing on him leaving the city of refuge than coming in as a result of the original murder. So when he leaves the city of refuge, the same thing should be. If he leaves intentionally, if the act was done intentionally, that he intentionally walked out, defied the terms of his sentencing to be then he can get killed. But if he wandered, like Jaime said, he wandered out. It was unintentional. So he should be, you know what the law should be? Go back to Galut. He should go to Galut, exile, not that he should be killed. So that's what Abaye says. The logic is that the law should be, good morning, Mike. The logic is the law should be, he should not be able to be killed by wandering
But
out of the
how does
city.
the avenger know if somebody wandered intentionally or unintentionally?
Right, I was wondering about that also. How would we know? So, you know, it could be maybe there are certain areas that, you know, it's daytime, and I wonder if they made any. We don't so far we haven't seen if they made any markings, clear markings where the boundary goes.
Look, the obvious answer, if he's 5 cities away, he knows he's outside of the jurisdiction. But if he's just on the border or within a certain number of miles,
Right. You're right. You could that could be it. That's a very great point. It would have to be researched. You know exactly how would we know? How does the Goel Adam ever know that the guy? That definitely would be a good case that you're saying. The question would be, like Jaime says, if he wandered way out, he knows he's out. No question he knows that. But if he's a little area, small area, it may take a little stroll. It's possible, but it would be good to look into that exactly. How would we know that? So Baye says, "Shalei sofo chamur mitchilato, ma tchilato b'meizin herag." Just like in the beginning, if he killed intentionally, he gets killed. B'shogeg goleh. If he killed unintentionally, he goes to exile. Mike was saying if a guy leaves the city of refuge, we said that the relative has the right to avenge the blood. Under what circumstance? Is it if the guy left intentionally the city of refuge? He knew he should not leave? Well, what about if he, by mistake, he walked out? It was nighttime, he was walking, and he just, can the relative kill him when he unintentionally walked out? So Baye says, Baye says it's logical, like the opinion that says he cannot kill him. Only if he intentionally violated the terms. And that seems to be the halacha. And he proves it because he says the end shouldn't be more serious, more strict than the beginning. Because the beginning, he only goes to exile. He gets killed only if he killed intentionally. If he killed unintentionally, he goes to exile. So too, if he left unintentionally, he should have to go back to exile, not to be killed. That's what the Gemara says. Af sofo b'meizin herag b'shogeg goleh. Shogeg gets exiled. Now we have a fascinating braita. Unbelievable, right? Tanya, that's the reason for Abaye is explaining, and it's logical, and most probably that's why the halacha, by the way, follows Abaye, because Abaye gave a logical reason for this law, and nobody else disagrees with Abaye. We don't find the Gemara bringing a different rabbi saying, "No, Abaye, your reasoning is wrong. Your logic is wrong." So if nobody checks Abaye is the last man coming in on the Gemara. You can understand he's the man. He would be the halacha should follow Abaye's reasoning. Kani chada there's there's interesting idea talking about logic. They say in the yeshivot, I once heard an idea that the Rosh, Rabbeinu Asher, one of the commentaries in the back, sometimes when he discusses the halacha, he brings a proof from a certain case in the Torah. So, and to for a certain law. And then sometimes he says, he doesn't bring from a proof from a specific case. He doesn't use a precedent as the reasoning, but he says nearly. It appears to me logically. So some want to say that when he says logic, the logic appears to me. You have to realize that sometimes the logic could be even stronger than bringing a proof from a specific case, because sometimes you could say he brought this case, and maybe you could say, you might be able to go ahead and say, you know what, that case maybe is different than the case that we are discussing over here. But when he says the word nearly, when he says or he says it's logical, so some say that represents his whole, it's coming from all the Torah that he learned, that the logic of all the Torah that he learned is coming into that. I mean, even though when you bring a proof, it's also coming from that, but it's but the focus may be when you bring a proof, you're focusing on that proof. But here, when you're focusing on your whole logic, so some want to say that some could have even more power. Some say that idea, but there is this concept, the logic, and Abaye proves the logic from this from this case. We're going to see tomorrow, to be continued tomorrow. What's the law if a father killed a child? Can the brother avenge the blood to kill his father? We're going to see the son can't do it, but we'll see tomorrow. Can the son, the brother, be a goel adam? Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Behind me, Mr. Daniel Safdie and Mike Dahan and Ariel Maiman that are here at the class. All send regards to you.
My love back to them.
Thank you very much. Take care. Take care.
Thank you.
All the best.